as I was saying in the South, man, I tell you, Mr. Sessions, I think your beliefs and the way you feel about marijuana, I think it speaks for itself that you've got your hand in big pharma, big tobacco, and private prisons. And if you legalize marijuana, that's going to take away profits from each one of those organizations. Well, enough about old Mr. Sessions. He's full of shit anyway, so I don't need to throw any more at him. So Banner, I was sitting there and I was reading the Huff Post, and it states weed death remains at a constant zero. Think about that now.
You
What does
mean
that say, man? I mean,
it's impossible to overdose on weed?
it's impossible to overdose on weed. Zero deaths. Now, let's look at opioid and cocaine. 64,000 people are dying yearly because of opioid and cocaine related deaths. That's a high damn number. 64,000 versus zero. So are they just afraid? Are they just afraid? Do you think, in your own opinion, are they just afraid that they know that cocaine or the legalization of marijuana is going to take away the profits from these three big organizations, especially big pharma?
Just shows the hypocrisy of, you know, a lot of these politicians. Um, we're just talking about a plant that God put it here. It's been here since, if you believe in God, it's been here since He created it. I believe in God, and so do you. But if you don't, then the Big Bang Theory. Well,
Great show, by the way. I love it on TBS, man.
yeah.
Watching the rerun. That's Sheldon something else, ain't he?
So it's been here.
Yeah, I tell you what, it's pretty cool. And when you sit there and you look at this, and even Sweden itself has stated that between smokers of marijuana and non-smokers, they still live the same life expectancy. They still have the same lifespan. That's just telling me that marijuana isn't killing people; it's actually helping people versus the opioids. Uh-oh. I'm not sure who's here, but can you excuse me just a minute, my listening audience? I'll be expecting someone tomorrow, but not today. I hope it's not the DEA, man. Yeah, coming. Hey, boy, I'm here to do some paint, man. Daryl, I'm in the middle of a show, right? We're recording. Hey, boy, that's all right. I ain't gonna disturb you too much. Hey, man, how you doing, man? My name's Daryl, man. How you doing?
How you doing, Banner?
Who?
Banner.
Banner. That's your name, Banner?
That's my name.
Damn, have I ever met? Did I see you on TV the other day, man?
No. I'm a little speechless right now, Mike.
You got something against crystals?
Uh, can I have one?
I don't think so, man. This is my lunch bag, man. I smoked a big doobie before I come over here, man. Hey, Daryl, I'm in the middle of the show, man. Why don't you just sit down for a second? Let's ask Daryl a couple questions while he's here. Now, Daryl, you're a pot smoker, right? Oh hell yeah, man. I'm all for it, man. All for it. Now, Daryl, you've been known to grow a little weed every now and then, right? Where do you know? Oh man, I make it pretty damn simple. I grow it outside the back of my trailer back there, man. I got one on the side with my bathroom's window out, just in case I'm sitting down, and I'm taking a damn shit or something, on the toilet. I like to be able to just reach out the damn window, grab me a little bud, cut it off, smoke it while I'm sitting there taking a big steamy fucking shit. Some people, but I also grow it out my bedroom window too, man. Now I know I live over in Whole Wall, Tennessee, man, so they really don't give too big of a fuck over there about it, man. Hell, man, the sheriff's come over and smoke with me, if you know what I mean, man. The law officer don't have to even have a high school diploma to be there, man. Okay, Daryl, let's just calm down a minute. Now, you know that we do not condone growing marijuana illegally. I don't give a damn. Condone? What the fuck is a condone?
You don't approve of it,
I don't approve of what?
of breaking the law, Daryl.
Mike, where'd you get this son of a bitch at? Man, where's he? Where are you from? Did you say Banner?
Banner.
Are you like David Banner from the goddamn Crow? You gonna turn green here in a minute if I piss you off or something, man?
No.
Okay, well, who the fuck is it, Mike? Daryl, he's a special guest, man. He came in from Mississippi. Mississippi? God darn, man. You came all the way from Mississippi, man, to be on this WWW show, man. Whiskey, wrestling, and weed. I love it, man. Well, we're glad to have. Hey, man, I'm going to get on to my paint, man, but Do you mind if while I'm in there painting, you don't mind if I smoke one, do you? I mean, they can't see me on radio, can they? No, Daryl, but I would ask you, please, man, let's keep it legal here in the studio. Yeah, I bet I do, man. Hey, guys, give me, I'm sorry about the confusion, man, but that's old Daryl, my painter, man. Give him a hand, guys. Good to have you here with us, brother. All right, ladies and gentlemen, all right, let's get on back to the show here, man, real quick. As we're going out, man, let's ask a couple really quick questions, man. Tell us a little bit. I know that you just recently had a tragedy in your life about a year and a half ago, and I'd like you to share that with our listening audience.
I believe I just had a tragedy right here.
Yeah. Oi, man. Hey, just go on the paint, Daryl. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, Mike, my beloved wife of 22 years had breast cancer, and of course we lived in a non-legal medical state for marijuana, and I regret that she wasn't able to ease her pain with this wonderful plant. But that's why I'm here today, because we want everybody to of course obey the laws, but to let their local politicians know that they're pro. I believe you said that you saw a survey recently where more than 70% of Americans say, "Hey, let's legalize it."
Actually, 85% that said the most local survey said the most recent survey, I should say, actually said 85% of Americans said legalize medical marijuana.
Wow,
And it was a 50-50 split on the recreational end.
That's a staggering number.
It's a huge staggering number.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen presidents get elected with less than 50% of a vote. And they get into office. So it's in this country, man. I mean, let's go back in time a little bit, man, because you said something really amazing to me one time, and it was in a book that you helped to write that you were on American history, that politics was never meant to be a career choice.
No, it was an honor and a privilege, but not a profession. And because that's how corruption starts. You get in there, you think you're above the law, better than the people you serve, and it's if you want a profession, be like Daryl or you know. Um, so
Hey, y'all, excuse me just a minute. I just want everybody to know out there, man, that I am running for dog catcher in Hohenwald, Tennessee, and I appreciate your vote, man. I'm looking forward to getting into politics, man. Okay, Daryl, thank you, man. I appreciate I'm sorry, guys, but Daryl, he's an old friend, man. He's worked for me for a long time, so please excuse me. But hey, let's definitely vote for Daryl for dog catcher there in Hohenwald, Tennessee.
he's well qualified.
I believe so, man. I think he brought some of the fleas in with him. I'm not sure, man. But I want to get back to the point at hand, man. That I just don't see where people smoking marijuana. Where I mean, you say that to politicians today that are against it, and it's like, damn, man, it's there again. It's like there's a nuclear bomb going off, and they're saying, oh man, run for shelter. Marijuana has become legal, but they allow big pharma to serve up synthetic drugs that are killing people on a daily basis. I mean, they get addicted and they OD on this, and I tell you, man, it drives me absolutely crazy that they're thinking more about their pocketbook and how much money, because they're so invested in this. We spoke earlier about how people have been bought by these companies, R.J. Reynolds and Philip Morris, and then Merck and Pfizer. Even our doctors are bought and paid for by these companies because without the doctors, how are they going to get their drug out on the market?
Well, Mike, I'm not sure that some of the physicians aren't actually some of the biggest drug dealers in the country.
And they are drug dealers. It's because they're not serving up a plant. They're not serving up a fucking plant. They're taking some drug rep comes in and say, hey man, you pass out enough of these, get people on them, and then start prescribing them. And do you really believe that the kickback thing is happening with the drug manufacturers to the doctors? You think there's a big kickback they're giving?
Oh, absolutely. Physicians are perked with trips and comped with, multiple things, I'm sure. But that's why I'm here. I want the people to be able to decide the style of life they have, not a professional politician. You know, President Trump is is for uh, all 50 states across the board, legal, medical, medicinal. And I think you're right about Mr. Sessions. He's talked him out of that.
You know, and it kind of pissed me off because even if you look back, and I'm not, you look at President Obama. He was for legalization of marijuana. I'm pretty sure I'm stating that correctly. That he actually kind of got the federal government off of the states that were legalizing it and saying, hey, we're on a statewide level, we're going to legalize it. And even if we go back to Bill Clinton now is out there stumping that, hey, there is something to the medical marijuana. There is something to this. We ought to take a closer look. We have Pennsylvania bringing in some of the greatest college minds there at researching this plant. They're saying that there's probably many other possibilities that are great positive possibilities by using this plant. What say thou?
You're right. A lot of those Ivy League colleges, some of the best higher institutions of learning in the world.
Some of the greatest scientists, some of our greatest scientific minds out there want to study this plant because they know it has a lot of value to it.
A lot of value. There's a thing in Canada, I'm not sure about this. This isn't my expertise, if I'm actually an expert at anything, but it's energy and hemp. We ought to do some real research on that.
And I think it would because I've been hearing about that too. That it can that hemp as an energy producer, it can take the place of a lot of the coal. And not that I'm saying I'm against coal mines. I'm not. I mean,
oh, me neither.
I think it. Matter of fact, clean coal. Processing coal in a clean environment. I think it's possible, and I think they've made great strides in this. I don't think that we need to bash the coal industry because it's been great for this country, but if we have another alternative, why not look at it? Obviously, saving your garbage and putting it in a compost and then turning it into fuel hasn't been a really great success. Windmills have not been a really great success. So why can't we open our minds to other things? And I think that a lot of our scientists out there are going into this with an open mind. Our stats show it. I mean, is our politics just so profound that they can't sit there and look at what the research and the research I'm telling you from HuffPost and about Sweden. This has come from. I'm telling you, man. This has come from a treatment center that did these stats. And when you're looking at that, people, the non-smoker lives the same lifespan as a smoker. That tells me that there's really nothing wrong with marijuana.
Mm-hmm. There's another side to it. You hit those drug cartel people where they live, their pocketbook, because I believe marijuana is their number one money maker. I could be wrong about that.
In corporate America, like you right now, we have going on that I think it's Time Warner and AT&T or whatever are trying to combine themselves together because they're saying, well, hey, we have to be able to compete against Amazon and Netflix and the Hulus. That people are going more to that to watch because they have a choice of what they get to watch, when they get to watch it. You can choose commercial free. But they're saying, even there you have companies that merge together. You have corporate takeovers on a daily basis. So, I mean, to me, if you want to stop drug abuse in this country, if you want to knock out the criminal element of marijuana because it's illegal on a federal level, take control of it, own it, make it federal, put a tax on it, and then that takes the drug dealers out of the fucking picture. They can't, they'll say, well, that will lead them to selling heroin. Well, goddamn, we have heroin dealers out there right now. So I mean, what is this? If let's take away one element at a time. I'm not saying we need to legalize everything out there. That's not my view. But I do say legalize marijuana because it shows, as we have discussed, in Colorado, the crime rate has gone down substantially. DUIs have gone down substantially. Same thing with Washington State. Same thing in Las Vegas. I mean, people are more inclined to try to find their fucking recliner after they smoke dope than going out and getting in their car driving. So it just makes sense to me, and tell me if I'm stupid and I'm not saying something, it just makes sense to me that if the American people, 85% are saying let's legalize medical marijuana, don't you think our politicians ought to listen to that? Because we are the ones that elect them in. Is that correct?
That's correct. They're actually our employees, not the other way around.
You know, and it was very profound in what you said that becoming a politician was never meant to be a lifelong career. What? Tell me a little bit more about that. What your feelings are on that?
Well, the founding fathers, they that's why they did what they did, and it was amazing that the 13 colonies, the mass of the population, got behind them so fast. I mean, because back then there was no, of course, no electronic communications, and they just said, we want to be on our own. We want to make our own rules, our own laws. We want to live as we see fit, without, some monarch, King George from England, telling us what to do. And that's how we got started. We're the greatest country in the world. Obviously, everybody wants to come here, and let's legalize this plant. I'm for medicinal. You're recreation, but either way, uh, tax it. Let's pave roads. Let's educate our children with the tax money. Um, that's I think it would be great to use the tax money for our infrastructure that President Trump's trying to create.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, how do you feel with legalizing marijuana? Do you think it'll be easier to keep it out of the hands of people under 21, or do you think it's going to be harder?
Absolutely, because when the government gets their hands on it, they'll regulate it, and it'll be much tougher for minors to get their hands on it. You know, uh, I've been in some homes where some people have beer in their refrigerator with 8, 9-year-old kids running around, and as those children grow up and mature, um, kids are kids. They're going to be sneaking out beers and stuff like that.
You know, I had a brother that I have a brother that made a very very strong statement to me one time, and it stuck with me. And children are going to do what their parents do. We know this, okay? So, when a mother has a baby, and that baby's crawling, if that mother goes out into the backyard and she starts eating grass, starts grazing, what is that baby going to do? It's going to follow suit. It's going to do the same thing that its mother's doing.
Yeah, children mimic their parents.
Absolutely. So when I sit here and I take a look, and by what you're saying, yeah, there's, I keep alcohol in my house, and now I don't have kids running around in my house. But I still, when I know that I have a family member coming over and his kids are coming over, I put my alcohol up. They don't need to see it. That's my business. And I think that as parents, if we want to legalize marijuana, then we ought to make it. We ought to legalize it in our house also, and that it's just like your guns. You're not going to keep your guns sitting out for an 8, 9, 10-year-old child to grab a hold of. You're going to keep it locked up in a safe or a strong box or something. I see no problem with doing the same thing with marijuana. That if you're going to smoke marijuana in your house, put it away. Don't just stick it in your medicine cabinet where the kids can grab it like they are the opioids and the lower tabs, the Vicodin, the Percocets, and this is what the kids are dying from is the medicine that's right there in our cabinet. I'm not saying that all prescription medication is bad, but when I look at some of the opioids and I know that marijuana can do a better job on treating them than what they're taking that their doctors are giving to them because their doctors are getting the kickback and making money off this. I can't stand the thought that we have politicians and doctors out there, physicians, that are making money off the death of people.
Well,
That bugs me.
that's a very valid point, and I'd like to also say that let's be responsible. Uh, let's go to our jobs, do our jobs straight, come home, enjoy that wonderful plant, and then go back and do it the next day. Let's make sure our children's excuse me, we keep it out of their hands. Let's pay our taxes. That's what I guess what I'm saying is let's prove the skeptics, the politicians that are against it. Let's prove them wrong. Um, let's let them show that Americans are responsible and
Well, I think the only way that we're going to be able to show our politicians that is make it a very valid point to them in the voting box. That look, we're going to vote for you if you legalize marijuana. If you don't, we're not voting for you.
Yeah, let's fire them.
Let's get them the hell out of office, And because we have a lot of good people out there, up there in Washington, I'm not bashing all of them, but we do have some politicians, and we're going to be talking about that on our next show. That we do have some politicians up there that are really, they really are strong arming themselves on and saying, hey, let's legalize.
We have a lot of good politicians on both sides.
Yeah, absolutely. And so
We have a lot of bad ones too.
I got to ask this question because you brought it up. What do you think? A person has a prescription and they say, please take 2 tablets every 4 hours or every 6 hours. Well, they take this prescription medication, they take it to work with them, and whether it be a lower tab or Percocet, whatever or an antidepressant at work, they don't just stop taking that prescription medication because they're at work. But what is a job going to say to them because they have a doctor's note saying, hey, we've asked them to take this? So, and you may disagree with me on this because I kind of disagree with what you're saying. If a person is using marijuana because they have postpartum depression or epilepsy or they have high blood pressure, and a doctor prescribes marijuana to them and says, you should be taking marijuana every 4 hours. Well, if they have a break at work, do you think there's a problem if they go out and smoke a joint, then come back in and do their job? If it's prescribed for them to take it that way?
I think that depends on the skill you might be doing. If it's heavy machinery or something like that, then you've got to stay stone cold straight. But if you're running a checkout or something like that, and you're able to function, I mean, people are going to abuse any type of substance, regardless. But I think the vast majority won't.
But so it really shouldn't just be a one-sided coin, should it? I mean, we should be able to take a look at both sides of it and state that there are some people that are working, that may be on an assembly line or working in a factory and they're not driving, a towing machine or a forklift or a big diesel truck, or they're not 18 wheelers going across the road. I do believe that there are some situations, and I do agree with you. It depends on the job that they're in. That hey, when their lunch break comes around, they've been at work for 4 hours, and their stress level and their blood pressure is going up. They go out, maybe use it in an edible way, and because edible marijuana has become really huge, and I mean, also, so I think that in some cases, I think it would be okay. I don't think an employer should frown on that. Well, we are getting to the point in the show where we're going to do what we call a little fast round here. I want to ask you some questions, and I want you to answer them. They're maybe a little bit humorous and everything, but if you could go back in time and you could smoke weed with somebody, whether it be future, past, or present, who do you think one person? Let's say a male. Let's say someone that you have admired. Who is someone you'd like to go back and smoke weed with?
I think I'd pick President Harry Truman.
Harry Truman. Yeah, he's one of my. I got to say, he's one of my favorite to read about. Also, I mean, but why? Why would you want to smoke with Harry?
Well, Harry's much like us, just a common man who wanted to do good and um, just a fascinating guy.
When I read about it, one of the things I liked about it, actually, when he was on the train, when he was doing his, going through his campaigning, and he was on the train, he used to wash his own underwear out in the sink. I call it, he's washing the Dewey out of his drawers. and, and I mean, he was just a common guy like us, and okay, so female. If you could smoke pot with some female that you admire, who would you like to smoke with?
Well, I've been a widower now for over a year, um, but in a non-sexual way, I think Marie Osmond.
Oh, Miss Utah, I'm a little bit country. That's why, because she's a country girl, ain't it, man?
Oh yeah, beautiful, beautiful lady.
She is, and I mean, she's a wonderful lady, I've been asked the question myself, and the five on the Fox News show, Kimberly Guilfoyle. I don't know, and there again, in a non-sexual way, one of the most beautiful women on TV, but also one of the most intelligent women on TV. I think it'd be a great thing to sit down and smoke pot with her and pick her brain. And believe it or not, my second person, you would think I'd go way back in history. And if I had to go back in history, Albert Einstein. But today, Could you imagine what it'd be like sitting down smoking weed with Jesse Waters? Oh my gosh! I
I
mean,
love Jesse.
yeah, I do too. You know, I love how him and Juan get into it. You know, they debate very well with one another, and I love that. And so, coming to the end of the show, I want to do a few closing thoughts here. And in a world where we are very transparent in everything we do with the internet, Facebook, it seems like we know everything about everybody. And so in a very transparent world, we should be able to smoke marijuana because the surveys have been done. We've had medical scientists that show that there's really no bad effects on marijuana. No, the like I said, the HuffPost, zero deaths because of THC overdosing. It doesn't exist. So what I could say, if I could just make one person hear me, I'm going to ask Donald Trump out there if he ever gets to hear this, which I maybe not, but Donald, be the businessman you are, be the professional that you are, and say, hey, we already stating what the problem we have with opioids. Well, we have a solution. Let's put people on medical marijuana versus opioids, and let's see how many deaths start happening then. It's gonna decrease dramatically.
You're saying let's go natural.
Let's go natural. I'm not saying all medication is built for that. I'm not saying marijuana is going to take the place of all medication. I'm not saying that. But I guarantee you, and this is just my thought, I haven't found this on a survey, but I do believe it can probably take away about 60% of the prescription medication that's being used out there today.
I believe you're right. And I'd also like to go a little further and say it could help the wonderful men and women in our armed forces who volunteer to protect this country. And some, you know, they come back from these bullshit wars, and they have you mentioned depression or battle fatigue. They used to call it, and I believe the VA should make this wonderful plan available to them to instead of these synthetic drugs and these big pharmaceutical companies like Pfizer and Merck and all those push all the time.
Do you believe that if people had the opportunity to smoke weed, do you think that it would take down alcohol abuse?
Yeah, I've never heard of an instance where the police show up to a domestic violence, you know, between a boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, where the husband's beating his wife with a ball peen hammer. It's usually alcohol related or some of these
Cocaine.
cocaine, opioids. If it was marijuana, I'm sure the cops would show up and they'd be lovey-dovey sitting on the couch watching a good movie on Netflix.
I remember about 4 weeks ago when we were having a conversation about this, and I said I was telling you I said I'm fixing me a little cocktail right now because I love Bombay Sapphire Gin. I love it. Bombay and tonic is a great drink. But I remember you asked me a question about liquor stores, and just real quick in closing, bring that up to our audience to the question that you asked me.
About the that mysterious aisle where they keep the alcohol that is your medicine that cures your migraines or your stomach, your upset stomach, or your backache or whatever. I think it contributes to cirrhosis of the liver, a terrible feeling the next morning when you're hungover. That's why people are alcoholics. They feel so bad the next morning, you've got to start drinking again to feel better.
So you're telling me you've never found the medical aisle in a
Never
liquor
found
store
it.
saying this is a medical Jack Daniels, this is medical Bombay, this is medical Jim Beam, Everclear. You've never found that aisle there?
I'm still looking.
Me too. Haven't found it yet. Well, guys, with that, man, we're going to be closing out the show today. Once again, we really, really do thank you for being with us, and I just want us to all say thank you to a very special guest, Mr. Banner James. We're really glad that you were here with us today, and we hope that you will come back next week. I'll take care of your hotel room again if you come back next week.
Well, I think I'm close enough to the Tennessee border. I believe I can just drive. I've got a new SUV. I'd like to try it out a little more, and actually, I like to. This Daryl guy is absolutely fascinating.
Maybe we ought to have a spot for Daryl and hear his thoughts a little bit more, and that might be pretty cool. We might bring Daryl in, but right now he's painting, so let's keep him going in there because
Please.
what normally takes one person a day to paint, it's going to take him about three, but he doesn't care. He's got his crystals, he's good to go. And in closing, guys, I also want to let you know that. We've had opportunities to accept sponsorship from some of the legal states that are legalizing marijuana, but I've chosen not to. We sponsor ourselves in this show because we want to feel free to talk what we want. The only thing we do ask from our listening audience is we ask you to please hit our subscribe. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, and each week, every Friday at 4:20 p.m., there will be a new show on. This is just a weekly show. But we gather our facts during the week, and then we talk about it. Now, next week, we are going to be talking about we're going to take the top 10 politicians that are for legalization of marijuana. We're going to have what we call our David Letterman countdown, basically, if you remember the old David Letterman show where he had his top 10. Well, we have our top 10 list, and then we will be discussing in further shows about the top 10 that are really against legalizing marijuana. And we're going to tell you why. On both sides, we're going to tell you why people should legalize and why we shouldn't legalize and what their beliefs are. Once again, I want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in. It has been an honor having you here with the show, and we hope that you will tune in next week. And also, guys, send us your response. We want to hear from you. Mike Stan Show at hotmail.com, Mike Stan Show at hotmail.com. We look forward to hearing your comments, your suggestions, and let us know what you want to hear about when it comes to legalizing weed. And guys, as always, remember,
smoke weed every day.
We're out. Thank you again, guys. We'll see you next week.